Right then, let's explore our options so you can reduce the pricing of your services. So, here, the player type is other property listing platforms. We'll explore pricing models and how game theory can be used in pricing strategy in the next chapters. But basically, you're entering into a price war with the other platforms. You can easily manage your costs via automations, AI, APIs, and otherwise in order to maintain a good margin even in reducing revenue. However, there are a few things you have to consider. If you are using external APIs that you have to pay for every time you invoke them, you'll have to factor in these costs in terms of the trade off between the increased API call costs due to price driven increased customer acquisition momentum versus actual revenue change as a result of the increased customer acquisition momentum. You would have to review your API usage in terms of APIs you call before the customer is fully converted to a monetized customer and the ones used after the customer is monetized. If you'd like an idea of how to review how your API usage affects your P&L, visit our API Marketplaces course, free on our YouTube channel. The next option is beefing up your value proposition, which you can do via bundled options with tangible added benefits for homeowners. You can derive these added benefits as presented by option 3: revenue share or shared value driven property rentals and sales fulfillment value chain partnerships. Your next option relates to, shall we say, channel and distribution transparency, which you can drive via platform features. We've listed a couple that can go some distance in driving transparency, gaining the trust of customers, and ultimately driving up the credibility of the platform as one that champions the best interests of its customers. Okay, now you have to consider what each option means, what it would take to make it happen, and would the cost or effort versus benefit outcome make sense. We start with option 1. So, this is a property platform, and for option 1, we're dealing with pricing options with the view of going into price competition with other listing platforms. From an operations and technology perspective, our billing and payments management will be affected, depending on how the price reduction is being implemented. If all you're doing is reducing prices, then things should be pretty much straightforward. So, what you're actually doing is getting into a price war with other listing platforms in customer acquisition competition. And if listing price is a key consideration in the potential customer's buying decision, then you win the customer, and the other listing platforms lose a customer. That's effectively a zero sum game. Their loss is your gain, and their gain is your loss. Typically, though, homeowners would also consider the reach of the listing platform in terms of how much traffic it attracts from potential home buyers and potential tenants. So, in a situation where the purchase behavior is such that homeowners list on multiple platforms to attract tenants and buyers, then the situation changes a bit. From the home buying side, you have that lovely investment pooling scheme potential buyer base to attract property owners to list on your platform. Your platform is unique in this way. That's a good competitive advantage in terms of potential property buyers, ones that are vetted. So if you reduce your listing prices, you might very well be selling yourself short. Which brings us to our second option, which might make a bit more sense than just reducing prices. You project superior value in bundled options modeled directly against a customer persona in terms of needs during their home selling or letting process. So we'll start with home selling. The access to the base of potential property buyers on the pooling scheme is a major competitive advantage. On the other platforms, the homeowner has to find a buyer who can afford the property on their own, whether it be a single individual or a couple. Whereas on the pooling scheme platform, the homeowner already gets access to buyers who are vetted and can go in on the property purchase process together, softening limitations presented by affordability issues, which can quickly kill a deal. So, if you then bundle this opportunity for the homeowner with other standard property listing features, it becomes irresistible if priced right. On the tenant sourcing front, the viewing schedule calendar and tenant onboarding facilitation processes are also a good competitive advantage, but they are easily copyable features. So while they offer good value for the homeowner, your competitors can still copy them quite easily. What you can do is bundle option 1 with option 2 and price this listing slightly cheaper than your competitors, so that if they want to copy these features, they would have to do so with no projected financial benefit unless they want to put themselves in a weaker price competition position. So, what would you need to consider to make this possible? We're obviously talking about customer value options. You would have to design a couple of customer personas for each one of your service types, a set of selling homeowner personas and a set of letting homeowner personas. So you can model the selling and letting processes, map what typical customer attributes would go with each process, and then derive your different personas based on the varying combination of attributes. A homeowner selling a holiday home is different from one selling their primary residence. A homeowner in duress due to financial difficulties is different from a homeowner selling to upgrade, who is also different from one who is selling to downgrade. All of these types of customers with different attributes have different needs, so you would have to model your customer value options according to these different personas to make sure you're fully meeting their needs. If you want, you can then get AI to derive hyper personalized customer profiles for these base personas as it learns the behaviors and needs of different customers on the platform and have them deriving customer specific outputs to make the customer feel like they are dealing with someone, read something, that understands them. These outputs could be things such as suggesting the best times to conduct viewings in the case that the customer is struggling to confirm bookings for viewings or experiencing a lot of no shows in a given area. Other value adds could include automatically letting the homeowner and prospective buyer or tenant that the homeowner is going to be late for the viewing because the route they typically take to the property is experiencing delays if the homeowner consented to sharing their location. Any bit of convenience counts. Customer value options mean different pricing options because each bundle or value option is likely to have a different price, so you'd have to do price modeling for each option. We'll talk more about pricing models and how game theory can become a tool for effective price modeling in the next chapters. A customer value option is typically modeled on a set of features for a given product or service, so product management, incremental or otherwise, is part of the process. If the customer value option significantly and materially affects the shape of the product or service, that might necessitate the definition of a new breakaway product or service, which would then change your product or service catalog. Furthermore, value driven features might be fulfilled by a partner, which would then affect the terms of agreement between the platform and the partner in fulfilling the service to the customer. If one of your value options includes 20% off rental insurance as a value add, then you have to align with your rental insurance fulfillment partner, even if you are carrying the full cost of the discount. Your billing will have to be rejigged, particularly where there are such things as commissions and revenue share involved. If your product catalog has changed, that possibly means your product library has been changed. If you're using this product library as a benchmark reference table for your hyper-personalization AI models, you would seriously have to do work to ensure that your AI models are not referencing the wrong thing because you didn't update your catalog and library correctly. This doesn't mean this process is manual by any means. It is 2024 after all. One could design an API that polls changes to customer value options and feeds this outcome to an AI model that considers all it has learned about customer needs from the hyperpersonalization data and decide if and how to best update the product catalogs and libraries accordingly. In the instance of tenant sourcing, the game theory position appears to be weakly dominant. We have a couple of platform features that give us an advantage, but these can be easily copied. On the selling side, the advantage is a bit more stronger, which puts us in a strictly dominant position.